So we'll cover the current Prius family and the variations. We'll talk about the tech that's in these vehicles. All-wheel drive E, which is relatively new for Prius. That's a huge selling point now, especially in this region. And then Jeremy will go over the Prius Prime and then the other topics you see on the slide. So this is our current Prius lineup. We don't have the B and the C anymore, but we essentially have three different types of Prius for our customers to consider. There's, again, the original liftback Prius, and the focus there is obviously great fuel economy, great overall value, reliability. It's extremely practical. For a vehicle of its size and design, it has a lot of passenger space and very usable storage and cargo space. A lot of people are surprised how big the Prius is when they get inside. We have the all-wheel drive version now of the Prius. So that's always been one of the objections customers had in this area. They wanted something with a little better bad weather capability, and the all-wheel drive Prius definitely checks that box. And then finally, there is the Prius Prime, which adds the plug-in capability. And what does that give you? Jeremy will explain in more detail, but it's basically giving you electric vehicle range. So those are our three variations. Let's just talk a little bit about the regular liftback Prius before we get to the Prime. So those are the stats for the MPG, 58 in the city. That's unbelievable. A 56 combined rating. This is the most efficient passenger vehicle you're going to be able to purchase. And those customers who really like to, extend the mileage of the Prius and drive it the right way, they'll easily get into the 60s with their mileage. When we drive these, it's not unusual to even hit in the 70s on limited trips. So 6 grades, essentially. We have an LE Eco model, which is totally focused on the fuel economy. It has the best fuel economy rating of all the Prius, and that's what you see on top there. And then we have an LE model with an all-wheel drive variant, as well as an XLE and an all-wheel drive XLE. And then finally, we have a limited Prius liftback, which does not have an all-wheel drive version. So 6 different grades to cover, the customer's budget and what they're looking for in performance. All Prius come with standard Apple CarPlay, Alexa 7-inch touchscreen, and you can upgrade from there. Just be careful that the Prius does not yet have the Android Auto. It just comes standard with the CarPlay currently. Front drive models have lithium-ion batteries, and we'll talk more detail about the all-wheel drive E system and how it's slightly different from what you might see in a RAV or Highlander hybrid. Long list of technology that's in the Prius. Make sure customers know it comes standard with Safety Connect and Wi-Fi Connect, which is a fantastic safety system. CarPlay we mentioned, and then you can see some available upgrades like that really large touch screen, color heads-up display, which is always impressive. And then the drive modes. Make sure that you discuss drive modes, especially on a test drive. Let the customer experience the different drive modes, explain how they benefit the customer, whether it's efficiency or power, and explain how the EV mode works. That's always a cool demonstration. So let's do a quick poll. This should pop up on your mobile device or show up on the bottom left of your computer display. So the question is, the Prius Prime qualifies for a $4,502 tax credit. Is that true or false? So find the poll on your device and answer either A, true, or B, false. We'll give you just a few seconds to complete that. Looks like one of those trick questions where it's a very specific answer. You tend to think it's true, but you never know. All right, so we'll give you 15 more seconds to complete that. And let me just show you the results. Okay, so 53% who answered true and 7% false, so obviously that's true. And this is actually a poll. I'm realizing that's from Jeremy's section, so I did his poll for him. All right, the poll that I should have run for you was asking about the speed at which the all-wheel drive on the Prius goes away. So let's talk about that now. So the all-wheel drive E-system in the all-wheel drive Prius, like the other all-wheel drive hybrids, uses an electric motor to power the rear wheels. So there's no mechanical drive shaft. It's a very efficient system. And the way it works in the Prius is that from 0 to 6 miles an hour, there's always power going to the rear wheel. So you're in all-wheel drive mode from the beginning. And that's great because that's going to help you with initial launch, so traction or all 4 wheels from the get-go. So it's also very good at low speed. Once you go past 6 miles an hour, it reverts to an on-demand all-wheel drive system like our other vehicles. So again, that's for efficiency. If you need power to the rear wheels, the computer will certainly give you that for better traction and acceleration. But if you don't need it, it will default to front drive for efficiency. These models do have the nickel battery, and the fuel economy is, while it's less than the the front drive Prius for probably weight and battery usage issues, it is still 50 mpg, which is very impressive for an all-wheel drive vehicle. All right, so at this point, I'll let Jeremy take control of the slides, and he'll go through the rest of the presentation.
All right, thanks, Brian. So I want to just kind of cover in detail the Prius Prime. This is, it's been around for a few years. Originally, the previous generation was called the plug-in Prius, and now the Prime. Sometimes we overlook it. It's like, yeah, if somebody comes in, we'll talk to them about it. But with your inventories the way they are, you may have more Prius Prime at sometimes than you do Prius liftback. And as a lot of you are aware, since we launched the all-wheel drive version of Prius liftback, that's really what we've been bringing into our region. So that's what you have to sell. The occasional customer will come in and say, well, I want a limited, I want fully loaded, and of course the all-wheel drive only comes with LE or XLE grades, so what do? Well, we can get you a limited liftback, but try to consider maybe the Prius Prime, because you do have all 3 grades of LE, XLE, and limited on the Prime. And I'll show you in a little bit, it could actually give them a much better price point to get into that limited versus, say, the regular liftback. But what is the Prime? Well, it's a plug-in, right? So we can plug this hybrid in. At years and years, we tried to tell people, well, you don't have to plug in hybrids, but now we've made one that you can. And the idea is that it has a larger battery pack with a much longer range. So you can get about 25 miles of EV range versus a regular liftback. If you go into the EV mode, it's going to be less than a mile, roughly 3/4 of a mile. So what's so good about a plug-in versus an electric vehicle? Well, why not just have an EV? I'm sure we will in the near future, but there's something called range anxiety that people still kind of have with electric vehicles, and that is the fear they're going to run out of charge, and what if they're stranded, they can't charge it, what do? And that's the beauty of a plug-in hybrid, is once your battery is depleted, you have no more charge, it runs on a regular hybrid mode on gasoline. So you don't actually ever have to charge this vehicle if you didn't want to. You could just put gas in it and drive it like a regular liftback Prius. But if you have the opportunity and you choose to, you can charge this and then get that 25-mile range and then keep charging it. And we've seen customers get over 200 miles per gallon average by charging it frequently. So that's the reason for the plug-in hybrid. What I would like to do now is give you a quick poll also, just like Brian did, but he took one of mine, so I'm going to use his. This will be an easy one for you. So it should pop up on your screen. All right, and I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to go ahead and and answer at what speed does the all-wheel drive E cut out on a Prius liftback. So this is a little bit of a review. He just covered that. Hopefully everybody was paying attention. So it does have a few different variations of when it operates all the time. It operates sometimes when needed, and then above a certain speed it will not operate. Okay, so getting a lot of answers. Just give you a few more seconds, about 15 seconds. Five more seconds to get those last few answers. All right, so as you can see, the answer is 43 miles per hour. Above that, it is only front-wheel drive mode, so the majority of you got that. That's good. Thanks for paying attention. All right, so let's talk about charging. So that's the real big difference with the Prime versus the liftback. You can charge it, and there's two ways to charge it, or basically we call it level 1 and level 2. Most people will charge it at their homes via a level 1 charger, and this is the charging cable that comes with the Prius Prime. It plugs into a regular household 120 volt outlet. It charges in about 5.5 hours completely. If it was completely dead to completely charged, 5.5 hours. And you can also set a timer. So the car has the ability, you can set a timer so that it would come on, say, in the middle of the night and charge. And in certain areas, you'll get a lower cost of electricity in off-peak hours. So you can set it to charge while you're sleeping. You wake up in the morning, get ready for work, your car's charged. You pay a little bit less per kilowatt hour to do it. And the second way to charge is, of course, a level 2 charging, which is 240 volts. Now, that's what you would see in a public charging station where you would pull up to, maybe it's a parking lot, maybe it's a lot of municipalities have them in their buildings or parking areas. You'll see them in parking garages. You can even see them in some grocery stores. So wherever you would see a level 2 charger, you can typically plug in. And about 60% of them are free to use. So you don't even have to pay for them like you would have to pay for gasoline if you put in the car. And there's about 25,000 of those charging stations in the US currently, more and more being added all the time. Now you can install a level 2 charger in your home or garage. All it really requires is a 240 volt outlet, which is essentially what you would have with let's say an electric oven or an electric clothes dryer. Right, same kind of outlet, and you have that added into your garage or just outside your house. And then there's various different companies that make these level 2 chargers for your plug-in hybrids. So you can even buy them on Amazon now. All right, another quick poll. So this one should be easy. All right, I'm gonna give you an easy one. So go ahead and should pop up on your screen. How long does the Prius Prime take to charge on the 120 volt household outlet? So if you just plug into the outlet in your garage, how long would that take? And just a little bit about that charger. It comes with that charging cable, and it's fairly long, but we do not recommend that you plug that into an extension cord. So if you cannot reach an outlet, you would either want to maybe have one installed closer to where your vehicle's parked, or move the vehicle closer to that outlet. Please do not plug it into an extension cord or run it across your yard or you know, out of your basement window into the driveway. You need to have that outlet fairly close to the vehicle in order to have it properly charged. And we do recommend a 20 amp outlet, which is what most of your outlets are going to be in your home. So it will pull, I think, somewhere around 12 or 13 amps when it's charging. But a 20 amp outlet is more than sufficient. So the poll is closing here. Let me just go ahead and publish your results. And it looks like, yeah, pretty much over half of you got it. It's 5.5 hours. So 5.5 hours from completely dead to fully charged. So that's good. So Prius Prime, it does have 25 miles of EV driving range. And after that, of course, it can switch over to hybrid mode automatically. However, you have the ability with the drive modes to select when you want to use that 25 miles of range. So maybe you start out, you get right on the highway in the morning on your commute. Well, gas engine's more efficient in hybrid mode on the highway, so maybe you use the hybrid mode initially. And then when you get off of the highway into more city traffic, the EV mode's more efficient, so then you can switch over to EV. So it doesn't always just have to start in EV, and then once it's completely depleted, switch over to gas mode. You can choose at any time and go back and forth. If you don't charge this vehicle, it will still get 55 city, 53 highway, or a combined of 54 miles per gallon. So pretty much the same as the regular liftback Prius in terms of fuel economy. So again, if a customer chooses or say, well, it's not convenient for me to charge a vehicle, I don't know if the Prime is the right vehicle for me, well, you don't actually have to plug it in. Right? You can still drive it just like a liftback hybrid. Now, if you do drive it on the highway in EV mode, it does have the ability to go up to 84 miles per hour on EV. If you exceed 84, it's going to kick the gas engine on automatically, right? So that'll be its top speed in EV mode, which is more than enough for the roads around the tri-state area. I would imagine you don't need to be going over 84 miles per hour. Now, one of the confusing things that you'll see on the Monroney label, and a lot of customers get confused by it, is an MPGe rating of 133 miles per gallon. Equivalent is really what that stands for. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the gas mileage on the vehicle. It is solely a way for the government to classify and compare plug-in and electric vehicles when they operate on battery mode. So if you're in electric mode, obviously you're not burning any gas, so you can't have any MPGe rating. Right? If you don't burn gas, it's zero gas you're burning. 133 miles per gallon is just a way to compare others. It's based on the size of the battery, how far you can drive on it. So it's not an important number for your customers, really. It's just to compare it to other vehicles in the segment. So I don't want you to get tied up in what 133 MPGe means. Just focus on it's rated at 54 combined if you don't ever plug it in. If you do plug it in, you can get considerably more. But a total driving range, if it's got a full tank of gas, which is about 11 gallons, and a full charge, it can go up to about 640 miles before you'd have to charge or refuel the vehicle. Right? So that's pretty good distance to go. And then, of course, you can charge it in between those trips and even extend that before you'd have to refuel. And again, as Brian alluded in the poll, it qualifies for a $4,502 tax credit. But I want to stress that it qualifies for. That doesn't mean the customer gets a check for $4,502 if they purchase a Prime. What it means is, as a tax credit, when they do their taxes at the end of the year, they can apply this Prius Prime purchase towards their taxes as a credit. So depending on their tax situation, what they may owe, they could get that full $4,502 or some portion of that. But that is the maximum that they can get. I always recommend just refer them to an accountant. If they have any further questions, don't try to get too deep in the conversation. It qualifies for it, that's it, because they may or may not get it. All right, so safety. Now this applies to all the Prius, not just the Prime, but you've got standard Toyota Safety Sense P. You're also going to have the standard Safety Connect like Brian mentioned. However, Prius is a little bit different than most of our vehicles for 2020 because most of them have a 1-year trial period of Safety Connect where the Prius has a 3-year trial period. So the full 3 years they lease this vehicle, they're covered with Safety Connect and roadside assistance. Standard 8 airbags, it's more than most vehicles in the segment, and it does have the available blind spot monitoring system. So the liftback, it's standard on all grades except the LE Eco, and on the Prime, it's standard only on the limited model. So it's on most of them. And then available intelligent clearance sonar with parking assist. So that's that cool system we debuted in Prius originally that, let's say you're backing into a parking space and there's something there you didn't see. If you're about to make contact with it, it'll apply the brakes and stop you so you don't damage the bumper. And of course, it is a 2019 IIHS top safety pick too. So a lot of safety built into to Prius. I want to do this quick value comparison. And this is simply because I think we tend to not offer the Prime unless a customer mentions it or comes in on it. And also if a customer has maybe a limited model in mind and you only have LE and XLE all-wheel drive models in stock, you can push them over to the Prime, because if you look at the price comparison, the price difference between the Prime and the liftback is not that much. I mean, you're looking at about $1,400 roughly. But if you look at our current incentive package for June, you get $1,000 customer cash on the liftback, but $3,500 on the Prime. So after the customer cash, you're saving, over $1,000 on the Prime versus the Prius liftback. So it can make it financially a better decision for the customer, and they can get maybe the features that they wanted with the limited model. And also, if they have the opportunity to plug that vehicle in, right, they can extend their range. They can also qualify for the $4,500 tax credit. So a lot of pluses to maybe shift a customer to the Prime, especially if that's what you have in your inventory. So kind of use the incentive this month to your advantage, and you can kind of sway some customers to maybe look at the Prime when they may have not considered that vehicle in the past. And of course, just like all 2020 hybrids, our Prius and Prius Prime will have that longer hybrid battery warranty, so 10 years or 150,000 miles. And the hybrid system itself is going to be covered for 8 years, 100,000 miles. And just keep in mind, that warranty stays with the vehicle. Unlike some competitors who have a long hybrid battery warranty, but it's only for the original owner, which you might say, well, that's who's buying this car, is the first owner. However, it can make an impact on the value of that car down the road when they go to sell or trade it, because now that battery isn't as long on that hybrid battery pack. Prius or any Toyota hybrid will have that 10150 throughout its life, regardless of how many times it changes hands. And of course, the batteries in our vehicles are designed to last the life of the vehicle, so they shouldn't have to worry anyway about a battery replacement. So kind of in closing, to sum it up here, Prius family, we've got 3 different variants. We've got the original liftback, we've got an all-wheel drive version of that, and we've got the Prime. A lot of technology in this car. Obviously, hybrid technology is fairly advanced now. Not for us, we're kind of used to it, but a lot of other technology in Prius. The addition of Apple CarPlay and Amazon Alexa, a lot of connected technologies like Safety Connect, Qi wireless charging, some of the features that you'll see in more premium vehicles. Of course, the all-wheel drive E is great for the Northeast. A lot of our customers have been asking for an all-wheel drive car for many years, and now this was the first. And of course, the Prime with the plug-in capability and 25 miles of EV range, and that gives that customer that added benefit of plugging in and charging and not burning any gas. And then of course, safety, packed with safety, whether it's Star Safety, Toyota Safety Sense, and the Safety Connect, 8 airbags, and of course that long warranty as well. So you can see, all in all, I mean, Prius, they've got something for everyone. There's a lot of reasons people should be looking at Prius, and they may